And welcome back, everybody, once again to the Mind Blossom. Thank you for joining me. For however long you join me, some of you may come and go. Everybody's going to go eventually. No one's going to stay here forever. And that is the great mercy of our life, that it is not eternal. I find that judgment is a terrible thing to cast on somebody. When I look at a person and I'm judging them for something, I'm really judging them. I'm really judging myself. When I see something in somebody that I don't like, we say that it's a reflection of me, like I'm projecting onto them. But another way to break that down from a metaphysical perspective, the thought forms that I hold on to, the thought forms that I allow to exist in my center, have an electromagnetic property. And there are other thought forms out there that people are tapping into the same thought form as me. And if they're with that and I'm with that, then we're going to find each other. And I'm going to see the same thing in them that I have in myself, even if I'm not aware that I have it. So welcome to the Mind Blossom. What do I do here? I make art with AI. What do you think about AI? Does it piss you off? It used to get me pretty angry. I feel like AI kind of blew up in 2000 and what, 22 is when it became a thing in the collective consciousness of our times. Maybe some people still don't know about it. And I'm sure there were people way before 2022 who knew AI was a thing. But now I think just about most people know that AI is here and that it makes art. The one thing that we thought machines could not take away from us, right? We thought we will always have room in society for artists because they can't be replaced. Well, they were like the first ones to go. Just goes to show you can't hold on to anything, and especially artists. We're supposed to be these creative, in touch with the muse types, but artists are just as much, if not more, attached to their ego and who they think they are, more than anybody else, really. Our art, our portfolio is the greatest idol that we have. When you talk about idolatry, idol worship, for a lot of people, our careers are the greatest idols that we serve. What is an idol? An idol, IDOL, not being like idle in your car at the stoplight, but like an idol worship. An idol is an externalization of something that you inherently have inside of you. Now, that probably is not a really good description, but an idol is something you worship, something that you place higher than you place yourself, something that you place higher than. Maybe I don't know what an idol is. I think if I knew what an idol was, I could probably explain it a lot more clearly. Well, I'm just going to stop talking about it. For me, I think one of my idols is my portfolio of artwork. I want it to get more voluminous. I want it to get better. It's like it's a growing body of work, but I'm never satisfied with how many pieces I have in my portfolio. I'm never satisfied. And as soon as I finish one picture, I want another picture. And some may say that it's because I use AI, and so my workflow is sped up tremendously because I have access to artificial intelligence. Yeah, on one hand, that's true. I don't take enough time in between pictures to really sit down and appreciate how far or what I've done. But I was like this even when I was mainly only doing traditional work, like acrylic on canvas. I still had that insatiable thirst. Like, okay, I finished this painting. Now I'm on to the next painting. There's never enough. There's never enough. You can never make enough paintings to be satisfied. And I think that that is probably going to be the case even for artists who have made it. You know, when I say made it, they like what I mean is that they can survive financially based on their art income alone. And even if an artist gets to that point, I think they will still struggle with, have I created enough? And it's because we identify as these creators, and we are. I mean, that's not inaccurate. We are a creator. But even creators have to rest. They have to take two steps back and look at the whole thing. Sometimes it's beneficial to look at art as a breathing, living, breathing thing. What is a breath? It undulates. It's an inhale and an exhale. There's a positive and there's a negative. There's a point where you're making, and then there's a point where you recede. And we think about artists like Basquiat. I think that's how you say his name. And there's a lot of prolific artists out there. We see a lot of prolific artists. And they seem to be making work all the time. And you can make that your grind. You can make that your daily thing. But that's a choice. You don't have to obsess over it, or you can if you want. I do stress over it, in part because I think because I haven't really made it like that, and so I feel the need to always put new and more pictures on the internet so that I can be seen. So maybe if I post one more image on Instagram, somebody significant will notice it and tell all their people. That'd have to be a mind-blowing picture, right? Because there's so many pictures, there's so many images, there's so many videos, there's so many time-lapse videos, like just like this. There's so many songs out there. There's so many album covers, so many books, just absolutely more saturated than ever. And it's only getting deeper. We're only getting deeper and deeper into this saturation, drowning in art. And that's a discouraging way to look at it. So I try not to look at it from that perspective. But what do I do? I mean, I've got this gift to make art. I've got this passion to make art. I got this desire to express myself and to want to be seen. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to go to work. I want to stay home and work on the mind blossom. I want to make more pictures. I want to make more videos. I want to get creative with it. I want to write poetry about it. I want to tell my story, life stories. I want to work on my website. I want to work on my YouTube. I want to build an online shop for myself, optimize my Instagram and all those little extra stuff, but it's related to my passion. I want to do all that stuff instead of go to work. And I want to take time, and I want to relax too. I'm going to spend like 4 hours a day working and then chill. And then the next day I want to spend like maybe I'll work even more the next day. And maybe one day I won't work at all. And if I want to go visit my family in another state, I can just pack up my laptop and my iPad and get in the car and go see them, or get in the train, better yet. Riding the train is awesome. I'm a big train guy. Don't get me started about trains. All right? I don't know anything about trains, but I know I like to get on them. Put me on a train. Give me my iPad. Send me to Philly. Send me to Baltimore. Send me to Hong Kong. Put me on that train. I'm drinking tea at 5 o'clock, 4:57 in the afternoon. 4:52. Not that it matters, but you should just know, like, get a context of where I am mentally as well. I've been stressing out today because I discovered recently that I forgot to. I don't even know I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about that. There's some things we just don't talk about. But it's not even a. I'm also not going to bring it up because it's not even an interesting story. We all have little tedious life things that we have to deal with. But as I grow, I've been figuring out how to not let them get the best of me, and how to keep my personal integrity throughout the day, despite the situation that it sits across from me, despite the fact that I might be in the middle of the most boring, drawn out situation of my life. And I face that 3 days a week at the office when I go to work. So boring. And it's an hour-long commute. I'm not used to an hour-long commute. I'm used to driving 10 minutes to get to work. Now I drive an hour to get to work. I remember when I lived in Virginia, I had to my commute was 5 minutes. I drove 5 minutes to get to work. And then when I got a new job and it went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh, geez." Now I'm driving an hour to work. But what are you going to do? It's up to me. Then to get a new job if it's such a big deal. It's hard to it's not easy to get to switch over like that. I've been at my job for over a year and a half, something like that. And that's unusual for me. I don't like to stay in one place for too long. Yeah, I'm drinking this tea. It's like a blackberry hibiscus black tea. I was going to have coffee, but I am really trying to not have coffee late in the day. I'm trying to limit that. Oh, cheers to that. Cheers to me drinking tea. AI art is such a phenomenon. Whether you love it or hate it, it's a phenomenon. It's a force of nature. It's like a bigger deal than when photography first came out. And I wasn't around at that time. I'm in my 30s. I'm 32. I just turned 32. I don't remember what it was. I wasn't there when photography was invented, but I can imagine that it freaking blew people's minds. It blew people's minds, I'm sure. And digital art too, once Photoshop became a household name, once the people started having tablets and all, forget about it. That probably was like rattled everybody's perception of art. It like shook the art world. That's good. That's good for the art world to get shaken like that. You know what I mean? That's a place of chaos. The art world is not a place for, uh, expect the unexpected. Creatives, we step into the chaos so we can turn it into something. You know what I mean? So it's good for the art world to experience these identity crises because it changes everything and it forces us to evolve. And that's a good thing. That's where you get excitement, new possibilities. Expect the unexpected. And AI is I think it's having a bigger impact than digital art ever did when it first came out, probably. Or maybe it's right up there, you know? It's definitely got people divided. I mean, people hate this stuff. I hated this stuff. That's what I was originally talking about. I used to hate AI. And I remember I posted, before I even used AI, I would post my art, of course, and some people would say that it was AI generated. And I get it because some of the pictures I was making, I was using really experimental digital abstract techniques, and it kind of had this generated look. But that's because I was using filters and playing around with like um, random brushes and stuff, and just having fun. And it did look a little generated, but it honestly wasn't. And it pissed me off that some people, said you just made this with AI. We're like, and so I started tagging all my work with no AI, and I was really adamant and upfront and forward about the fact that I did not use it. But then something happened, like at the end of 2023, December 2023, like just over a year ago. I just decided to use it. I was like, screw it. I'm not going to be. Uh, why not? You know what? This looks fun. I was starting to play around with it just out of curiosity and interest, and I was like, this is fun. And I was generating images with Midjourney for months, and eventually I just decided to try to turn these images into something greater than, you know what I mean? To put them together in a collage format and turn them into something of greater value. Alchemy, right? If you've been with the Mind Blossom for any length of time, watched any of my videos, I've probably mentioned digital alchemy, which is what I call my art style. Digital alchemy. It's digital artwork, and it's a process of turning base material into something beautiful. That's which I'm taking these AI pictures that Midjourney created for me, and on their own, they're pretty good. They look really cool, but they don't really have value because they were created by a machine. I don't think that doesn't really have value. You've got to do something with it. You've got to twist it and transform it so it's unique in some way. Just creating images with Midjourney is not enough. You need to put your own spin on it. You need to put extra work into it. Now, don't get me wrong. A Midjourney is not necessarily a miracle device. I mean, it produces some bangers, right? You make some good looking pictures on Midjourney. But you do have to, if you're going for a specific style or a specific, or really, if you want something really specific, it can be difficult to get that kind of image because you're communicating with the server with your prompts, your text to image prompts to get the right picture that you want. So it can be challenging and whatever. Fortunately for me, I am a surrealist and I do abstract work, and I don't really need my pictures to make a whole lot of sense all the time. So I can get away with, I let myself get away with stuff, and my things don't always make sense. Like the anatomy of this wolf soldier warrior, this beast, this machine. He's like a bounty hunter, by the way. This wolf knight is like a bounty hunter. And maybe the anatomy proportions aren't all correct. Like maybe his head's a little big, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to spend, I don't want to spend that much time working on one single picture. Each one of these pictures, I would say, takes a couple hours to create. There's a part that I don't usually record, which is the act of actually cutting out the images themselves. I have special brushes that I use that I don't share. So, whatever. It's fun. Use AI or don't. Hating on it is a waste of energy, in my opinion. I've spent time hating artificial intelligence, and I even let it discourage me from making art because I thought that if now that this is here, everything I make pales in comparison to AI. And who cares if it's human made? It doesn't look as good, and it's not going to get as much attention, and it's just, I'm outclassed. But I never gave up. And I actually decided to I decided to, hey, all right, this AI makes dope shit. So why don't I try it out? Like I said before, it kind of does steal from artists, right? It scans all these different artists' portfolios and takes information from popular artists and creates work based on them. But I mean, so what? We were all copying off of each other anyway. Everybody's all that dope work was probably copied off somebody else. We all use reference pictures. We all study from other people's work. We all look at all us artists. We look at each other's work, and whether we realize it or not, we get inspired and influenced by what we see around us. And so we're kind of all we're stealing from each other anyway. And I don't even and theft, you know, is collage art theft? Are you violating copyright laws when you and are you violating just like etiquette when you do collage work? Because even traditional collage, you're taking magazine images, old pictures, old photographs, you know, or pictures you find online, and you're using that, which probably came from somebody else. You know, if you're a traditional collage artist, you're probably using images, source images that came from somebody else, unless you're out there taking your own photos. So is that a violation? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We're all stealing from each other. And we're moving into a world where I can't quite explain why I feel this way, but everything is going to be, uh, there's just so much of everything. We're moving into a world where extraterrestrials are going to appear, and there's going to be more art than ever before, and it's only going to grow at an exponential rate. And there's going to be, we're going to all get universal basic income, and we're not going to have a need to do anything. We're all going to get, everything is going to be so unlimited that it's just going to, the only thing you could really do that will have meaning anymore will be to express yourself. If you get paid for it, oh, all right. But if not, then all right. It doesn't matter because I have what I need anyway, and we're becoming more spiritual. The human race is, a lot of us are going to be moving to more spiritual, psychic, heart-centered consciousness. And so all you'll have when you go that way, money will be important, but it won't be the same. Nothing will be the same. And I know that none of that made sense. All I'm really trying to, I know that probably didn't make any sense, but my message is to create. Who cares if it's AI? All right, I stole from you. Now what? This image was an amalgamation that the program took information from probably hundreds, thousands of artists. You know, everybody's getting their work stolen. It's a thief fest. You know, we're all just ripping each other apart, ripping each other off. We're all just, we're all in this artistic pit, and we're all a reflection of each other. That being said, I do still want to make my work as derivative and as unique as possible while using this technology that's come out. So I mash it up all together in a unique way that could only distinctly be me. The wolf picture that I started off with in the beginning of this photo, that wolf cyborg thing, that was an immaculate picture. Stolen using AI. But now most of it's gone, and I only use the head. And I'm combining it with a lot of other pictures. I know. I'm trying to justify my actions here. I'm like defending myself in court. I'm just talking to myself, and these are my thoughts that I hold all day long. And most of the time, I'm not even aware that I'm thinking these things. And so when I sit here, I unleash them through the front of my head and into the microphone. So how about that? How about that? I'll tell you one thing. The average person, you give them, everybody has access to Midjourney. Everybody has access to all the tools that I'm using. The average person still can't make this image right here. even with access to AI, even if you taught them how to use AI, even if you taught a person how to use Midjourney and then nothing else, you didn't teach them how to use Photoshop or Procreate or any. And I'm talking about an average person with little to no art experience. The average person doesn't have any, pretty much has no design background. It's not a part of their life. Just that's what it is. Most people aren't visual artists. So if you asked them to make something, they just couldn't. It would be like a wall was in front of them. They couldn't make anything. Even if you taught them how to use Midjourney, they might be able to figure out how to type some prompts into the thing. And of course, they would. It's so easy to make. You click, you type in something on Midjourney, and then submit it, and you get your images. But that's where it would end. That's where it ends for just about everybody. The average person, it would end there. They wouldn't have the knowledge or experience and eye for how to create this, for how to put these pieces together, and to know what picture they want to summon next from the digital universe and bring it forward to put it on this image right here. They wouldn't know how to cut the images out the way I do, and they wouldn't know how to make little adjustments. So much goes into it. Everything I've ever done prior to this, all the work I've done with acrylics, all the work I've done with digital painting, all the work I've done with uh, writing, even, and with making music, every artistic endeavor that I've ever done influences this work right here in some way. All the content that I've consumed, all the ideas I've had, all the things I've witnessed, all the life stories, it all goes into this. And all the experience I have, and specifically, I mean, with like artistic design, I have years of it. And even though I'm using Midjourney now, my years of experience are what allow me to take a basic image of no value and turn it into something that does have value. Midjourney on its own is not enough. You must combine it. You must with other skills. You must use it in tandem with your other design skills to make something unique that you can brand and that you can copyright. Some of the most fun that I ever had with art was selling my work at shows. That's when people are in the mood to buy because you're there in front of them and their spirit is right there with yours and you get to connect. And if you were born for this, then your enthusiasm will shine inevitably. People who do what they love and love what they do, their enthusiasm comes out, and it's impossible not to like them. And it's people want to buy your art. People, when they meet you, they speak to you at an art festival. Your energy, they can feel it going into the art, and when they buy the art, they buy a little bit of your energy. It's like an enchanted item. It's enchanted. Now we see this. Pause real quick. I'm working with this sword here, and I'm just gonna explain this real quick. The torso of our wolf needs work because it doesn't make sense for this warrior to be walking around with no armor plating in front of his torso, like he's just got these wires and his rib cage. His like belly is exposed. In a realistic sense, that doesn't make sense because this guy definitely sees combat, and you wouldn't have those vital organs exposed like that. So I need to cover his belly up with something, and like I need to cover it up with like armor. But before I do that, I decided, well, let me put a sword in front because a sword would be easy, and I was like looking for a shortcut. And I thought it would be cool also if there was like a glowing sword that in front of him that he could grab. I don't know, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Spoiler alert: we're going to see here in a second. It doesn't look that cool. And it actually looks strangely phallic. This is long, elongated object. There it is. Here we go. We got. Yeah. This is the Mind Blossom, everybody. Let's give a quick shout out to the Mind Blossom. Look at that sword penis. He's got this massive, erect sword, solid as a rock. I had to get rid of that. I knew fast that it was not it. But you see how his belly is exposed, and even though he's a cyborg, he's got all those wires and parts just like available. Somebody could stab him through the gut, and it would be his bounty hunter days would be over. So I need to actually go in and add more work. So I generated a new picture, a new cyborg. This time with some torso plating, and that is here's an example. We're going to change this up completely because it's not right. It's like a good start, good foundation. It's got the right shape. It's got curves in the right places, so to speak. It really does, though. It just needs a lot of cosmetic adjustments, as we'll see here in a bit. But it's getting me started. It's a nice platform to start on. See, this is an example of how you work with AI instead of letting it do all the work for you. Don't let it do all the work. As we move forward, as our world changes and evolves, we're becoming more involved in the spiritual plane. Our earth is ascending in vibration. And we're moving into a new world where the imagination is going to be more powerful and more tangible than ever. Things are going to come into reality that we never thought possible, like extraterrestrials and psychic powers. And we're changing. We're becoming more spiritual, many of us at least. And the others who aren't becoming more spiritual, they're kind of dying. Uh, they're dying off, and maybe they'll get reborn somewhere in at some timeline. And they are like the crust. They're the shell that's falling away, and what's inside the shell is emerging, and it's this beautiful spirit. And we're in the more spiritual layer. And in this layer of reality, the ideas are infinite. There's so many ideas that it's just like, just stop hating, start participating. If you want to just use AI to at least just express ideas, you know? So I think that's what I'm getting at. As AI is a great way for us to communicate new ideas and new concepts. This is like concept art. This is a way for us to communicate some ideas, some new things quickly. So that way we don't have to spend, we're saving ourselves time. We can communicate ideas more quickly now. Just be careful how you use it. Be mindful of how you use it. You should be able to monitor whether you're the artist or whether Midjourney is the artist. Are you receiving help from the machine, or are you or are you reliant or dependent on the machine? Do you use it as a crutch, or do you use it as a tool? Now, only you can answer that. Your audience will have so many different opinions that it will make you dizzy. But you need to know, and your own sense of integrity will tell you whether or not you're making something original or not. Some pieces are going to be more original than others. All right, it is what it is. Move on, and just get more original as you go. But we're in a world, we're getting more in the spiritual realm. Ideas and concepts that were invisible and or impossible to us in the past are now becoming reality. They're becoming real. Things are, and the art reflects that. You know, our art is becoming more psychedelic. It's becoming more bizarre, but it's also becoming more. It's more mind bending more abstract, but also lucid. Things are changing. I just try to be a vessel for ideas. So I'm having fun. And I'm working on that belly plating for this here wolf. And it's bright. That plating is bright. You see how much brighter it is than even the wolf's face? It's much brighter than the rib cage and the shoulder pads. You're gonna have to change all that. Everything's gonna get a little bit of an adjustment here. And just to let you know, I do cut this video off early because I forgot to record the last bit. So we're just gonna have to deal with that. But it is what it is. Guys, I finished up my cup of tea and now I have this I have these two little tea bags just sitting there in the bottom of the mug, these soggy bags, these soggy, lukewarm, cool tea bags. After this, I'm going to go to the grocery store, which is more therapeutic than ever as I grow. As a childish, naive 20-something male, sitting 6'1" at 150 pounds, 24 years old, I could not be bothered with going to the grocery store. Full of youth, full of ignorance, I did not know how therapeutic the grocery store could be. Just to exist with no responsibilities in a world of absolute abundance. The grocery store, food everywhere I look, good fresh food. Oh, treats, produce, other people, most of us minding our own business, all here together. And I just push my cart. And if I'm really like trying to have a good time, I'll get a Celsius. I'll get myself an energy drink, crack it open, drink that thing while I stroll my cart and load it up with groceries. And then when I get to the self-checkout, of course I'll pay for the energy drink. I realize how easy it is to steal it. I could just steal it, but why would I'm not, that's not in my nature. And that will result in a little bit of karma, you know? That will result in a little bit of karma. And plus I just don't do that. I don't like to steal. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. Like I have violated not only the person who I hurt, who I stole from, but it violates my own spirit because my higher self knows not to do that. There's no need to steal. My higher self has everything it needs. So why steal? Stealing takes me further away from my divinity and more into my very basic earthly self. Only a human trapped on this earth with nowhere to go has a affinity for theft. Unless, of course, it's so extreme that you need to steal for your family and all that, but we're not going there. Because I don't think in that timeline. I only think in timelines of abundance. And there's no need for me to steal when I'm abundant. And yet, I'm using AI, right? Isn't that stealing? You just let it go. You gotta let it go. I do think about, though, what would I do if I ever did not have access to artificial intelligence? Or like, I always wondered, this is crazy. What if I was on the Joe Rogan podcast and he asked me what would I do if, I know I'm having a huge ego trip right now, but if I was ever on Joe Rogan and the topic got brought up, like, what if you didn't have access to artificial intelligence? What would you do? And not that I've rehearsed the answer, but I just like to think about this because I want to, like, what would I do? I would just go back to traditional art and I would just make paintings, like regular paintings, like acrylic. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. I'd figure out a new art form. Just do something else. Never get a never. I don't need to get identify or become married to any one particular way of making art. Toby Lou, the singer, he has this one line that goes, "My game changes with the wind." I don't remember. It was this one song. The song is called "The Last Dance" by Toby Lou, and in that song he drops a bar. He's like, "I can't do that shit. My game changes like the wind." He says it a lot better than me, but uh, my game changes like the wind too. I'm doing. Always letting my game change. I'm always letting my artistic fire do what it wants to do. I'm using AI. All right, the spirit of the mind blossom might take me elsewhere later on, but I'm riding this wave. Have I been? I've been into acrylics. I used to do this type of collage work that you see here, but with photographs. Just did a digital collage. You know what I mean? I spent hella time working on acrylics, acrylic paintings, paint on canvas. That's old school, and I would surely do that again. I would surely do that again. But this is what I'm on right now. I would even try to like master music more. I think music is the ultimate art form. It's like all vibration. I mean, this is vibration too, this image. You're seeing vibrations come off the screen. But music is just a little bit more in tune with the heartbeat of the universe, in my opinion. Although visuals are equally important. You know, it's another sense. But just music is, I don't know. They're all important. All art form is equally important and valuable. It would just always be creative. Because creativity feels good. It feels good to be in a state where uh, I can't help it but create something. And if I have nothing in front of me to paint on, I'll just sing or I'll dance. So as we grow as artists, we need to as I grow as an artist, I realize more and more, little bit by little bit, I realize that it's all about expression. It's all about the fire within expressing itself. All your inner elements, earth, air, fire, water, spirit, and so on. Even your darkness and your light, which are like elements in a way, like the void and the light and all that, you know. It's all about expression. It's all about being on that frequency where art is possible, where art is inevitable. That's where I love to be. Feeling creative is awesome. When I'm not feeling creative, I feel dead. I lean towards death. I lean towards stagnation, and stagnation just leads on to death. But when I lean towards creativity, I go toward that means that pushes me towards life. Creativity is like a state of being. And we're kind of, it can be challenging to stay on that vibration because we've got so many things that want to keep us down. So many bureaucratic matrices and taxes in the 9 to 5. But it just is what it is. And all those things have a purpose too, believe it or not. And there's no one that's going to come and save you, and just there's no one that can really take your soul to the next level. You need to do that for yourself somehow. We're coming up on the point where I stop recording, by the way, and this little circle on the breastplate, which I'm gonna fit that underneath his rib cage, just behind the rib cage. I just stopped recording. I don't know why. I was in bed making this and I didn't want to record, so or I forgot, or I ran out of storage. I don't remember. So you're not going to see the final touches that I add on, but I'm going to add details here. Not going to be recorded. Oh well. Oh well. We always have next time. We always have next time. So that's our message today, everybody. Stay on that creative frequency if you can. If you can't, then get yourself together, dog. Get yourself together, dog. You have to find joy. It may be cold outside and you may have work in the morning, but there needs to be a way, and there is a way. You just have to find it somehow. You need to find it somehow. All right? You got to find it. Be the joy. Feel the emotion. Don't ever feel dead. Don't ever feel dead, okay? Feel alive. Choose life and choose love. Life is beautiful, and I am so grateful for it, and I'm grateful for you all. Thank you, and until next time, everybody. Peace, peace, peace.